Tensions are rising between Israel and America. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu launched an angry outburst at US Congress against the ongoing talks between Iran and America, China, Russia, Germany, Britain and France. Only hours later, US Secretary of State John Kerry announced that nobody involved in these negotiations will be distracted by external factors or politics. Mr. Kerry added that world powers wanted an agreement that is sustainable over time, particularly that achieves the singular goal of proving that Iran's nuclear program is and will remain peaceful. This positive tone was in stark contrast with the Israeli Prime Minister's bad-tempered tirade, in which Mr. Netanyahu accused Washington of negotiating a very bad deal with Iran over its nuclear energy program, suggesting it could even leave the Middle East littered with nuclear bombs and a countdown to a potential nuclear nightmare. It is worth remembering that Israel itself possesses an estimated 200 plus undeclared nuclear warheads in its own arsenal. So what should be done about Israel's interference in these sensitive negotiations? Does Israel even respect America? And should Washington change its policies towards Tel Aviv? These are the simple questions we sought to answer. And we began by observing the fact that Israel is the only regime in the Middle East which possesses nuclear weapons, though it refuses to allow international inspections of them. Israel is also unique in the region for launching wars against its neighbours. So in the light of all this, why is America allied to Israel? That's the question we put to the American public.
Well, I think it's interesting that the two countries in question here, the United States is the only country to use a nuclear weapon, and Israel is breaking international law after international law and human rights violations on and on and on and on, yet the main focus is to continue the rhetoric of them being victims, because this is what convinces the American public to continue to send their soldiers, their money all over the Middle East for really Israel's benefit. It doesn't benefit the United States at all.
I think we need to stand strong with Israel and support them, and Netanyahu seemed that it was fit for him to talk about that, so I think we should stand with him and support him.
You know, I don't think the U.S. benefits from every relationship that we have. I don't know, to be honest with you.
I don't know what happens behind closed doors, and I'm not sure every congressman does either.
I think as people over here in America, we don't know what it's like to be in either country, or have either, I don't know how to say it intelligently, but the things that are going on over in both their countries, I hate to say the U.S. needs to stay out of it.
I think it makes us look stupid, but that's been an ongoing issue out of Washington, D.C. for some time.
What is the real reason for America's alliance with Israel? We put that question to our experts. Here's what they said.
First of all, there is a history of relation between the two countries. And there are other reasons for this. One of them, the United States considers Israel as a reliable country in the Middle East because it is supposed to be a democratic country and it has a viable government and a strong army and very efficient intelligence so that it could spy for the United States on other things in the Middle East and to pass the information. So United States in general never trusted any country in its history in the Middle East except Israel. And don't forget that there is a religion factor in that they consider Judaism as a religion mother of Christianity. That is also plays a role in thinking of the United States toward Israel.
Why America allied itself with Israel? Because Israel was an American agent. It's a state agent for the United States, and it is like an American base to control the whole Middle East. We know that it's the oil resources there, and the boogeyman for the Americans were the Soviet Union. So Israel was a strategic need and a strategic interest for the United States at the time to protect the area from the Soviet invasion. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the importance of Israel is now less, hence the efforts of the Americans to find a solution for the Arab-Israeli struggle. So they are trying now. But I have to say also that while the Americans needed Israel for that, the Israeli used the Americans to expand their military arsenal and to expand on the land of the Palestinian at their expense and treating them badly, as we all know.
America spends literally billions of dollars in aid every year to Israel, which it could spend on America's own healthcare and economy. What would you do to change this? That's what we asked the American public.
I think when it comes to how we fund any military, I mean, a lot of things are subject to question. I don't know if I would be qualified to know how much is too much or not enough.
It's not working, folks, it's not working. And Cuba, look at Cuba. All those years of punishing Cuba, it's not worked. So why not try something new? So let's try to do something new in the world also, cautiously, very, very cautiously.
I think the U.S. should cut back all foreign aid because, as you said, we need to work on education. Our economy still isn't where it needs to be. Jobs still need to be created. I think Israel should be one of the top donors we give to, but I think for an overall approach, the U.S. should drop back on all foreign funding.
I kind of on what Ron Paul is about. I think we should stop giving foreign aid to any country and all countries and invest that money here, stateside, education, police, safety, all the things that we need. But giving billions of dollars economic aid to another country, I don't think that that's a fair practice. And it doesn't make us look balanced in the eyes of the world. But unfortunately, most Americans that I talk to don't even really realize that there's an issue. They just see Islam as something that's bad and terrible. And Iran is maniacs and they're crazy and Israel's our friend. But you got to look at the facts,
Given the domestic problems facing America's own healthcare and economy, it is interesting to note the large expenditure in aid to Israel. We asked our experts to tell us how they would change this state of affairs.
Maybe in the future that situation will be changed. But before that, I should say that the foreign aid of the United States to foreign countries, third of it goes to Israel. Billions of dollars. The citizens of the United States for the last decades, they didn't know that the United States helps Israel with so many billions of dollars. But recently, because of the media exposition, because of the media exposure to the citizens of the United States, they are now becoming aware that the United States giving Israel this money, so therefore this should be changed. And they began to have campaigns. One of these campaigns, they fixed 15th of April for American Tax Day. That means America, they call on the United States, on their country, to stop helping Israel. So this, I think, will increase, will become bigger, this campaign, and probably at the end, this help will be stopped to Israel.
The American society is an open society. It is, and the American policy is affected by the pressure groups. And because it's an open society, everyone can lobby there. So it is our failure that we couldn't lobby strongly in the United States to protect and preserve our interests. But the Zionists were very clever and very active on that. They have got a lot of pressure group. AIPAC is one of the strongest. And they managed to control the American Congress because they finance the election campaigns for the congressmen and the candidates, and they promote their propaganda, election propaganda in their media. So we are really failing to reach the American public opinion. And the only way to let the American people know that there is no need for their tax money to go towards Israel now, as I explained, their strategic interest is less. Israel is less important now for the United States. So if we convince the American people that they better save their tax money and spend it on their internal needs, that will be the issue to change the public opinion, who can force the American administration to change the policy. But that needs media to reach those people, that needs seminars, that needs conferences, that need lecturing.
The Israeli Prime Minister has a long history of interfering with US politics and disregarding American government requests to stop building illegal settlements and killing innocent civilians. We wondered if the American public felt that Israel respects the United States.
It was a slap in the face to Obama, because our policy has always been that no matter who was president, a foreign leader did not come and give political speeches 2 weeks before an election in their country. And that has always been, the standing diplomatic order.
It seemed like Netanyahu is here and, we support Israel, but at the same time, I don't think his version of events is accurate.
The speech by Netanyahu here to the Congress was not in the best taste. He was invited by the Speaker of the House, and it was not cleared with the White House, so the White House was uninformed. I feel this is really very, very bad.
I don't think that Israel really has room to talk, considering, they have an open-air prison with thousands of Palestinians and they're killing kids. And so I think it was a joke. I think your common American doesn't really know geopolitically what's going on.
I think it was a poor choice by the Republicans in Congress to extend the offer to him. I think it was an even worse choice for him to accept. I found the whole thing repugnant and very disrespectful.
I just think it was just so disrespectful of our president. And it hurts me that Israel would, that Netanyahu, representing Israel, and he doesn't represent everybody in Israel, would do something that was so impolite.
For Netanyahu, he has to represent his own country. He can't worry about U.S. relations with Iran when he has his own country to deal with at the moment.
Does Israel's disregard of America's direct appeals for a halt to the construction of illegal settlements and the killing of civilians show a lack of respect from Tel Aviv towards Washington? We asked our experts.
As we can see from the actions of the Israeli government for the last years, we think the Israeli government does not respect the United States. There are evidence for that. For example, always, at least in the recent years, the United States asked Israel to stop building illegal settlements. But Israel never listened to the United States. But there are other important and serious disrespect to the United States from Israel's side, that Israel spied on the United States. And there is one spy called Jonathan Pollard being there in the prison in the United States for the last 25 years because this man was spying for Israel. And there are other spies, Israeli spies, on the United States. So if the Israeli government respects the United States, it shouldn't do these kind of things because it's supposed to be allied with the United States. And there are many examples which I cannot go into details because of the time limit.
I think that the Israeli people, of course, they respect the U.S. because the United States is their only support, which provide them and supply them with all their needs, from the food to the nuclear program. But all the Israeli prime ministers actually have been insulting the American administration one after the other. I start with Menachem Begin, Ishaq Shamir, Ariel Sharon, and then this latest Zionist thug who went to deliver a speech to the American Congress without being invited by the American administration. So how can an American president, even in the second term, and he doesn't have election pressure, accept this insult and slap on the face by a foreign prime minister?
6 major nations, known as the P5+1, are involved in progressive yet sensitive nuclear talks with Iran. Just one regime, Israel, seems intent on destabilizing these talks, even though they stand to improve the lives of millions of people. What should be done about Israel? We asked the public.
These things get out of hand. And then you end up having conflict after conflict after conflict, and nothing is solved.
I can't speak personally on Israel's defense, but they obviously do it because they think it seems fit to protect the well-being of their citizens, which is their only obligation.
I think they're playing games, they're political games, and I think this is what the American people are really tired of.
I wish I were wise enough to answer that question. I wish I had the answers. I can tell you I pray for peace every day, and I do mean every day. But if I had a suggestion, believe me, I'd be walking down Pennsylvania Avenue right now and making it. I really don't, and it's troubling to me. It's quite troubling to me.
I know they don't trust us. So we have two countries that distrust each other, and the way you do it is you observe, you check, you carry a big stick, you look around and you do the best you can.
What can and should be done regarding Israel's active efforts to undermine these important talks between 6 major nations and Iran? Our experts expressed their opinions.
I don't think we have to do anything about this at all. What I mean the negotiations with Iran is going on, and it has been going on for a long time now. And the United States, despite for example, Netanyahu asking Obama to stop these negotiations, Obama, of course, refused that. He said we have to negotiate to do something about this. So Israel been shouting for the last few years, stop, stop, or otherwise Iran will produce a nuclear weapon and so on. No one listens to Israel in this respect.
First, I'd like to say that Israel is not scared from an Iranian nuclear weapon because they have got big arsenal, and again, they have their sponsor, the Americans, who can protect them at any time. Israel doesn't want any Muslim or Arab countries in the Middle East area to have the know-how and the nuclear technology. They want to keep all the regimes there retarded and undeveloped, so Israel becomes, as they say, the oasis of democracy and the oasis of advancement in the area. That's number one. Number two, they don't want the Americans to come close to Iran or any big powers, a major power in the Middle East. They want to be the only agent of the Americans in the area. Because if America build stronger relations with Iran and other Arab countries, the significance and the importance of Israel will diminish. Again, they are not a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, so all the Arab and Muslim countries should really put application to the Atomic Agency to send inspectors and examine and investigate the Daimuna nuclear reactor and their nuclear arsenal, because that is a threat to the Middle East and it's a threat to the international peace.
Should the United States change its policy on Israel? We put that simple but crucial question to the American public.
Absolutely. Of course we should. This is a discussion. This is what happens in a democracy. People talk, people argue. That doesn't stop the relationship. Of course we should.
I think what's happening to the Palestinians is awful. I think the fact that we're friends with Saudi Arabia and their, women's rights violations. I think that that's a whole nother level of idiocracy. I don't get it. You know, it's really all about money.
I think any relationship with any country should evolve and change, yes.
I hope that world leaders recognize that if a president of ours, whichever side of the aisle they come from, signs an agreement, it is an agreement. And hopefully the people that are making noise right now in Congress will be gone the next time they're elected. But agreement signed by our president will stand long beyond their terms.
I mean, I think everybody wants to have as peaceful a world as possible, and so anything that can help that process is a good idea.
Let's wake things up a little bit. These talks with Iran, they may not be going as we think they should be. So let's wake things up, let everybody know a little more what's going on, so maybe we can alter our approach to these talks and things like that.
I think we needed to stop the settlements a long time ago. I think that a lot of people in Israel have felt like that all along. People's inclination is to fight. Aggression is the easiest thing to express.
We gave the last word to our experts on whether it's time for Washington to change its policies towards Israel.
There is one factor in this. Although there is an Israeli lobby in the United States, but there is a more important lobby beside this Israeli lobby or Zionist lobby, which is the Christian Zionist group. This is a Christian Zionist group, very influential, and there are many members of this, millions of them, and they have members in the Congress. As long as they are strong, the policy of the United States toward Israel will not change, because these people acting according to the religious belief, dogma. And of course, when a person is behaving according to the dogma, it's difficult to change his opinion. So these people, congressmen of the Zionist, Christian Zionists, they influence the policy of the United States.
We wish they do, but they will not do that until we expose their duplicity, their double standard, and their bad foreign policy, which hurt the American interest, to the American public opinion. This is what we should reach. And no American administration or even congressman, if the American people decide something, that will go. So we have to be active. We have to explain to the sovereign people in America, who are the American nation, that Israel is acting against the interests of the United States now. On the contrary, they are damaging their relation with all Arab and Muslim countries and damage, as such, the American interest in the area.
Israel has consistently rejected global calls for it to join the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel also has a long-running record of interfering with United States policy and has even made efforts to destabilize the current important international negotiations between Iran and other countries. It's obvious those countries want Israel to be prevented from derailing those talks and to be held to account for its interference. The one country best placed to do that is America, if only it had the will to do so.